If you sell anything, real estate, financial services, cars, whatever, you can either waste time and money buying ads, posting to social media, or you can spend your time wisely by building a network of people who buy from you and who want to send their friends. Bottom line, sales is about people. You can have all of the technology in the world, but at the end of the day, you still need a living, breathing person to say yes to your offer. And as you probably know, there are three things that need to take place before you can make that happen. First, people have to know you. Secondly, they have to like you. And third, they have to trust you. So in this video, I want to go into how you get people to know you, like you, and trust you so they'll buy your products, and how to do it quickly and efficiently. So the first item in our list is you have to get people to know you. And you've probably heard the statement that your network is your net worth. And that is absolutely true. The more people who know you, the more money you're probably going to make. But this is what's really missing from that, and what's really important, I want you to get this, is that it's not only the people who know you, but it's also the types of people who know you. You can be known by a lot of people, but not known by the type of people who can and will buy from you. So I talk about having a people plan. First, be proactive and decide on what type of people do you need to have in your circle. What do they do? Where do they live? What type of family structure do they have? If you're in sales, you need to know your demographic. One of the biggest mistakes I think people make when they're first start out in sales particularly is that they believe everyone is their customer. But the reality is that everyone is not going to be a good customer for you. There are some people who can afford your products and some people who can't. And if you want to be the type of person who, is going to try to sell something to somebody who can't afford your product, then that is not going to make you feel good at the end of the day. So you have to focus on being proactive and having a plan for meeting and becoming close or connected to the people who can buy from you and support you in your sales efforts. And also the second part of that is, what are you known for? I hear this all the time. There are people out there who find that the people that they thought were going to buy from them or should buy from them don't. A lot of real estate agents suffer from, having a friend or close family member buy a house from someone else. And that happens in cars and financial services. I think many people believe that's because their friends and family members don't want them in their business. That's partially true, but I think an even larger reason is that people just don't remember what you do. We make an assumption that if someone is close to us, if they're a friend or a family member, that they understand what we do and they will think of us immediately when they need to buy something. But that sometimes is not true. It's up to you to make sure that everyone you know knows what you do. And that doesn't mean you have to sell constantly. It simply means you have to make sure people understand what your personal brand is. And your personal brand should reflect what it is that you do for a living, so that when they need what you sell, they will think of you. So there's two really components to this being known. One is being known by the right people. Is not necessarily the size of your network that is the most important thing, but it's the people within your network. Having the right people inside of your network is much more important than just having a lot of people know who you are. And secondly, making sure that the people who are in your network understand and they know what it is that you do, so that when they have a need for whatever it is, that service or product that you provide, they will think of you first. The second item is being liked. There's actually a study, it's a science of likability, and there's several components that are involved that if you get a handle on these, and particularly if you master them, you'll find yourself to be well liked. I know growing up, I would always notice that there are some people that just everybody just likes. You know, you have the lovable, you probably have somebody in your family or somebody you went to school with that whenever they show up, everybody says, hey, you know, I think about there's an old show called Cheers. You know, whenever Norm walked in, everybody in the whole bar would shout his name. And because everybody just likes certain people. And we think that either I'm one of these people that everybody likes or I'm not. I'm kind of reserved and shy, and people don't, not necessarily that they dislike you, but they just don't, they're not warm to you. You don't get invited to things. You're not, people don't run up to hug you when they see you at events. But what if I told you there's some things you can do to change that outcome so you can become more liked? And so there's a few pillars I'm going to touch on real quick. Generosity, empathy, authenticity, and honesty. So generosity is about giving. I think that's pretty standard, but not necessarily what you think. People think that generosity means giving money or gifts. But there's different types of generosity. There's time, there's talent, and then there's treasure. What can you give? And I think that as you're listening to people, I'll talk a little bit more about listening further in the video, but as you're having conversations, think about ways you can be generous, right? Is there something you can do for this person? Is there a connection you can make? Is there some information that you may have that person may need? It's about having a generous spirit. A generous spirit means that when the opportunity presents itself to be generous, you'll take advantage of it. You don't want to be that person who kind of sits back. I don't want to volunteer. I don't want to waste time with this person. I don't want to donate to their thing. I don't want to come to their event. When you become that person who does those things, when you become that person who leans toward volunteering, when you lean toward supporting people's efforts and their events, it will come back to you. It will come back to you. And so that's one of the first pillars of being likable, is having a generous spirit. The second is what I call empathy. It's empathy, and that's different from sympathy. Sympathy is when you feel exactly like someone feels. When they're crying, you start crying. Empathy is more like, I understand how you feel. I've felt that way before. And it gives you, when you come empathically during the conversation, you can listen for opportunities to be generous. Empathy is like if somebody falls overboard on a boat and you can throw them a life raft. Sympathy is when you jump in with them, knowing you can't swim either. So be empathic as you're listening. Listen for ways you can be generous. Does this person need some information? Does this person need a connection? Is there something I can do to be generous to this person? And that's that feeling of empathy that I'm talking about. Third is authenticity. And authenticity actually may be the most important of these. And so authenticity is really being yourself. Quite often we try to, fake it till you make it. And that rarely works because it's so hard to sustain that personality. Being yourself is so important because what you'll find is people get to know who you are, who you really are. They'll like you anyway. It's rare that you find someone who is being authentic, who isn't liked. the number one thing that people find offensive in personal relationships is folks being inauthentic or being fake. We've all known somebody who's like that, and we know they're fake. Or there's always that risk of being found out. You pretend that you have money when you really don't, or you pretend to be well connected when you're really not, or you went to a certain school, or you like to do certain things that you don't really like to do. And to be honest, we've probably all fallen for that or done that at some point in life just to be to fit in, just to fit in. But fitting in can be really damaging to relationships, because at some point people are going to sense, or they're going to feel, that you're not being authentic. So focus on being authentic, on being your real self. There's an author named Brené Brown who talks about authenticity in her YouTube video, and so you should really check that out as a TED Talk she did. Google Brené Brown authenticity. Really has some great tips on how to become more authentic. And the last piece on the likability ladder is honesty. Tell the truth. Critical honesty is so important. To be honest. People appreciate and they like honest folks. I'm sure in your own life, you prefer people who are straight shooters, people who tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it doesn't serve the person that's talking to you. But when they're honest, even at their own peril, that serves to connect, and it forces you to like them, because just human nature, we prefer someone who is honest. So repeating generosity, empathy, authenticity, and honesty. And honesty really kind of leads us to the next topic, which is trust. Trust. And trust is probably the most important of these items, in my opinion. While of course you can't necessarily buy from someone that you don't know, it's possible that we do it all the time. We buy things online from people that we don't know. Sometimes we even buy things from people that we don't particularly like if they have the only game in town. However, if we don't trust someone, we will absolutely not buy their product or buy their service, because we don't believe that they're going to do a good job. And we're definitely not going to send our friends to them or our family members. We're not going to send them referrals if we don't trust them. So it's very important that you understand this concept of trust. And there's four pillars of trust as well. So the first pillar is integrity, and that's what most people think about when they think of trust. Integrity. That if I give you some money, you're going to do the service that you provide, that you promise. You're going to do what you promised for the money I gave you. Or if I give you some money to hold for me, you're going to give it back to me. And so that's integrity. But that's assumed, right? That's assumed in most industries, particularly if you're licensed, if you're in real estate or financial services. People assume that you have integrity simply because you have a license. However, there's a second pillar, which is capability. Are you capable of providing the service that you promised? If I give you this money, can you really do that? I have a lot of friends that I trust. I'll trust them with my car, for instance. I will say, here's the keys. They need to borrow my car. Here's my keys. I trust that if I give them my keys, they're going to bring me my car back. That's integrity. However, there are also some friends I know that they can't drive, right? They're not capable of driving. So if I give them my keys, I may get my car back, but I don't know if I'm going to get it back in one piece. So it's important that you not only display your integrity, but also your capability. And the third pillar that's quite often overlooked is intent. Intent is quite overlooked because people don't really understand what that means. Intent is what you feel inside. How do you feel about this transaction? Do you intend to do a good job for the money that is being exchanged? So often we as we're selling, let's say we're selling a house, your intent may be to get that commission, or you're selling financial services. Your intent, again, is to get a commission, or cars, or whatever it is you're selling. If it's a great fit for the customer, cool. But your main intent is not to help them, is to make money. And if that's your intent, again, that's going to show through and result in a lack or limited trust. The final piece is results. Have you done this before? Do you have a track record? Can you point to someone? Do you have a testimonial? Do you have a portfolio? Can you show me that you've done this before with some success? Do you get results? So I want to not only believe that you have integrity, I want to believe that you're capable. I also have to know that you have good intent, that you intend good things for me out of this transaction. And lastly, I want to know that you get results, proven results. And so those three items, right, of know, like, and trust, if you can build those, you're more likely to get sales. So I actually have, if you click the link below, there'll be a link to a video that will, not a video, to a PDF that 35 ways to get people to know, like, and trust you. You can download it for free, and let me know. Let me know in the comments if this has been helpful. If you have any questions, would love to circle back with you and dig a little deeper. All right, everybody, thank you very much, and look at the next video in this series, and hopefully you'll learn how to become better known, liked, and trusted as you watch my channel. Talk to you later. Bye.